Someone takes 3 hours to reply, and you think, there it is, people always leave. But what if that thought is not evidence? What if it's a contract, and your reaction is the signature? You notice the delay, interpret it as rejection, withdraw, or demand reassurance, and then the relationship becomes tense. The old story looks true again. Your biggest problem may not be that you believe a false story. It may be that you keep behaving in ways that make the story look true. Welcome to the pattern recognizer. Most people are running programs they never chose. Today we expose one of those patterns, see exactly how it works, and discover the precise shift that can set you free. Let's begin. The pattern has a name, the mirror contract. It's the hidden agreement to interpret new people, money, and opportunities through an old story inherited from family, culture, or painful experience. Maybe the story was, money never stays. Maybe it was, don't trust people. Maybe it was, success makes you selfish. Or, someone like us never gets ahead. You may never have spoken those words aloud. Still, they can organize your attention, your choices, and your expectations. Most people don't see it because they're living inside it. Here's the mechanism. The mind prefers a coherent identity, even when that identity is painful. So it notices details that support the familiar explanation and overlooks details that challenge it. That's confirmation bias. Then repetition compulsion pulls you toward emotional conditions you recognize. Not because they're good for you, but because they're known. Finally, identity protection steps in. Contradictory evidence can feel less like good news and more like a threat to the self you learn to be. Picture the money story in real time. An unexpected payment arrives. For a moment, there is relief. Then the thought appears, this won't last. You avoid checking the account. You spend impulsively, you lend what you cannot afford to lose. A few weeks later, the balance is low. You say, I knew it. Money always disappears. But that was not simply a prediction. That was participation. Your expectation shaped what you noticed and what you did next. The same pattern can appear in love. You expect abandonment, so you monitor every change in tone. A neutral message feels cold. A busy day feels like rejection. You test the other person, withdraw before they can hurt you, or ask for reassurance until both of you are exhausted. If they finally pull away, the old identity says, you see, people leave. That's the mechanism. Attention, interpretation, behavior, result. Then the result becomes evidence. And this is where people often reach for a spiritual explanation too quickly. So let's slow down. Hermetic correspondence can help us see that inner organization influences what we notice, expect, tolerate, and express outwardly. But the mirror is feedback from an interpreted inner world. It is not proof that you caused every loss, every injustice, every illness, or every wound. The Gnostic image of awakening adds another distinction. Much of what we call the self is assembled from memory, imitation, fear, and social programming. We inherit a script, then confuse the script with the one who is aware of it. Awakening is not pretending circumstances don't matter. It's noticing the thought before it becomes a decision, and the decision before it becomes another repetition. Imagine wearing an inherited lens for so long that you mistake the lens for eyesight. If it's tinted with scarcity, opportunity looks suspicious. If it's tinted with shame, attention feels like exposure. If it's tinted with abandonment, distance looks like rejection. The past may have shaped the lens, but it does not own the eye. That's the reframe. You can examine the lens without obeying it. Now let's make this practical. I call the practice the contradiction act. Not positive thinking, not denial. A small experiment in authorship. When the familiar reaction appears, stop before you build conclusion. Write the automatic story in one sentence. They haven't replied, so I'm being rejected. Don't soften it. Put the pattern on the page where you can see it. Then separate facts from meaning. The fact is, the message has not received a reply. That's all. You do not yet know the motive, the future, or what the silence means. Ask yourself, what am I adding? Perhaps you're adding an inherited conclusion. Distance means danger. Perhaps it sounds like a parent who expected disappointment, or an earlier relationship where trust was punished. You are not blaming the past, you are locating the lens. Now choose one safe action that creates contrary evidence. You might wait an hour before sending a second message. You might send one honest sentence instead of withdrawing or testing the person. Something like, I noticed I'm feeling uncertain and I wanted to check in directly. That does not guarantee the relationship will work. It does something more honest. It proves you can respond without automatically obeying the old contract. Use the same structure with money. The fact is, the account contains a specific amount. The inherited meaning says, if I keep this, something bad will happen. The safe contradiction might be 10 calm minutes reviewing the account, making a modest plan, and delaying an impulse. With success, it might be submitting the application, publishing the draft, or asking for specific feedback before you decide you're not ready. Keep the action small and reality tested. Do not ignore danger. Do not return to an abusive situation to prove you're trusting. Do not take reckless financial risks to prove you're abundant. External barriers are real. Trauma is real. If a pattern is deeply painful, qualified professional support can help you work with it safely. The goal is not forced positivity. The goal is a wider range of truthful choices. Try this with one pattern for 7 days. Track 4 themes: the trigger, the automatic interpretation, the observable facts, and the action you chose. At the end of the week, don't ask, am I completely transformed? Ask, did I respond even once without obeying the old contract? One exception matters. It proves the pattern is not absolute. Repeated evidence becomes expectation. Expectation influences behavior. Behavior begins to build an identity. This is how the mirror changes, not because you force the reflection to smile, but because you stop feeding it the same instruction. Your past may explain the mirror, but it does not determine the image you must keep reflecting. Awareness first, action second. That is the pattern, that is the mechanism, and that is your shift today. If you're ready to decode the full architecture of your life, explore my complete library at Desmarques.com. Go deeper into belief architecture, shadow patterns, consciousness, and inner freedom. Don't just collect another explanation. Find one inherited meaning, test one new response, and build one piece of contrary evidence. The pattern is the prism. Awareness is the key.